Hello, everybody. This was my first ride of the spring season. It wasn't my first ride of 2019, but it was my first ride of the spring season, what I would consider my first ride of the spring season. Nice downhill descent here. It's not always fast. I'm on my Trek Excalibur 8, and it is a heavier bike. It's a 29-inch mountain bike. So, and I've got it loaded down with everything that I need, and I'm wearing my boots, and I'm actually wearing jeans, and I have one of those construction worker type reflective hooded windbreakers on. Works really well for breaking the wind, because the wind was about 17 to 20 mile an hour, so it helped a ton. I think I had the wind behind me right here, so I got some reasonable speed going down the highway. Also, when it's below 50 degrees, I put my stocking cap on, and I actually just loosen my helmet so that my stocking cap, or so that the helmet fits over the stocking cap. All in all, pretty comfortable. It does not take me long to get to Montrose from my house on a bicycle. I can get there in about, I would say, a half hour. 35 minutes tops, maybe. I'll have to time it sometime and see. And a lot of that depends on the wind too. But Montrose is a great location for me to ride to from my house, because there's a lot of directions I can go from Montrose. I can ride south and go to Kilcook, or I can go north and go to Fort Madison. Alright, here we are. We're getting ready to do a downhill descent. This got pretty sketchy. This road was absolutely terrible. If you took a car down this road, you'd probably get stuck. But I was able to descend through all this mud. And I felt like I was going to wreck like at any moment. But I made it. Once I got around the curve here, the road kind of dried up, and then I just slingshotted off that curve and got some great speed. This road's really fun when it's dry. I can really get some speed. I can fly all the way to the stop sign. Nice straight descent there. Always gotta wave hello. Alright, rolling into Montrose. Riding down Main Street in Montrose really isn't that bad, believe it or not. There's just so little traffic. And you get a nice slope as you roll into town. And I can roll usually about 20 mile an hour. I've had a lot of cars just stay behind me. I've been 25 through there before. Actually, one time I went by the Ivor Fowler on my road bike, and I was doing 30, and the cop was sitting there, and I thought, gosh, I hope I don't get a speeding ticket on my bicycle. But not on the mountain bike. Not gonna be going that fast. But yes, I've had cars just stay behind me and not even go around because I was going fast enough that I was keeping up with the flow of traffic. But most of the time, they'll go around. When I'm in Fort Madison on Avenue E, I can roll right along with the traffic. It's always fun rolling down Main Street in Montrose because it requires very little effort. And like you say, you get to roll. Sometimes you can roll as fast as that car was going. If I'd have been on my road bike, I could have. But I was just casually strolling into town today. I wasn't trying to break any land speed records. But it's just a nice, steady downhill slope. It's just fun. Coming up on the Montrose Sandbar here. That's the new name of the Montrose bar. It used to be called Charlie's, then it was called Smurfs, then it was called Kinnick on the River for a while, and now it's going to be called the Montrose Sandbar. Really looking forward to that place. It's not open yet, at least during the making of this video, but there was a bunch of cars there, so they must have been hanging out, doing stuff inside there. I almost stopped. The reason I didn't stop is because I had a lot of mud on my boots and I didn't want to track all that mud in. This was a really neat part of the ride for me because this just simply doesn't happen very often. Coming down here on the river and seeing all the ice jammed up against the shoreline. So I had to get some pictures, good photo opportunity. It just doesn't happen very often that you're out for a bicycle ride and there's ice everywhere. So I took me some pictures, and I had to get a selfie, of course, with my bike helmet on and the ice in the background, because it just doesn't make sense. Then I went to the Montrose riverfront group area, and I went up on the observation deck. There's a giant flock of birds down there. I don't know if you can see them. I'm going to try to get them with this thing. Oh, wow. Just thousands of birds. Wow. You can hear the roar of them. It's amazing how they work in unison, like a tornado. It's crazy. They almost sound like a roaring crowd, like at a concert. Pretty cool. This is the observation deck at Montrose Riverfront. Taking a break here at Linger Longer Rest Area. My seagulls are behind me, hanging out. I'm gonna have an apple. Beautiful day. Could be a little warmer, but I'm anxious to get out. They decided they're going to take off. Wonder how many of them there is. There's gotta be like 10, 20,000 of them things. Just into some bad company. Bike's a little muddy. Finishing my apple. The whole pack seems to be taking off now. Oh, and they're gonna come right over us. Poop on us. Cool. Good thing I'm under this overhang. I might get pooped on. Like a bird. That's funny. Okay, we gotta get out of here. Coming up on the Montrose Cemetery here. They have a nice little paved path that just kind of goes in a little circle. I used to have a rule that I didn't ride through cemeteries because I thought it was disrespectful to just be pedaling through a cemetery and using it as a bike trail. But since then, I've changed my rule. I'll go through a cemetery, but I turn my music off and make sure that, and I don't ride at a fast pace. I ride at a very slow, respectful pace, and I'm completely silent while I'm in there out of respect for the people. And also, there's a lot of history in cemeteries like this, so sometimes I'll stop and read some of the plaques and different things. Well, check out how gnarly this hill is. Riding down it was quite an adventure, but riding up it has proved to be impossible. I've made it this far, but I'm literally just spinning in the mud. So there's nothing more humiliating than pushing your bike up a hill, but I'm pushing my bike up the rest of this hill because I have to, not because I can't do it. I mean, it's physically impossible. Looks like when we get up to this flat spot, I'll get going again. All right, back on the highway. And this is where I was against the wind, so I went nice and slow. Probably like 6 miles an hour. And by this point, I was felt like I was torturing myself. My butt hurt real bad from not being on the saddle at all this winter, and I'd kind of bonked. I was just kind of out of energy, and at this point I was just ready to head. I was ready to be home. But home wasn't far away. I was only about 4 miles, 3 miles from home-ish. Also violated my rule, kind of. I have a rule, I never ride into the setting sun. And I kind of did that here, although the sun was kind of off to the left. It wasn't directly in the road. But you never want to ride into a setting sun, because the cars on your side, on the right-hand side, could be blinded. Same as you wouldn't want to ride into a rising sun, obviously. But in this instance, I really had no choice. And when I do find myself stuck riding into a setting sun with nowhere to go, I'll if I see a car in my mirror, I'll actually jump over onto the shoulder. Of course, on this road, there's not much of a shoulder, which makes it all the more dangerous. And there's typically a lot of traffic on this road. Luckily, at this point, I only met maybe 1 or 2 cars. Back on the gravels now. It's funny with this bike, I purposely hit all the potholes I can, just because I'm amazed at how smooth this bike is, how much it absorbs the shock, and how those big 29-inch tires, they just go over everything. The only kind of bike I have left to buy is a fat tire bike. Those would really be fun. Now we're on the home stretch. This part of the video really cracked me up because of my shadow. It just looks so funny. It looks so cartoonish with my shadow being elongated by the setting sun. I'm just like my legs look giant. And I'm just smashing down on those pedals. Had to grab a drink of water there. On the home stretch now, just about there. It's cool the way my driveway sits. Either way that I come in from, I pick up speed right before I roll in the driveway. It's like one little last burst of speed. Back.